Hello and welcome to the Draft Talk podcast. Your now weekly one-stop shop for all your draft needs, ready for this year's NFL draft. As ever, I'm your host Brian. I'm delighted to say I've got our two maestros with us today. It's Owen and Stu. How are you doing, guys?
I like how you come up with a new way to describe me and Owen every week. I quite enjoy that. So
I'm running out of nice ones, so
yeah, you can call us whatever you want from moving forward. Yeah, it feels proper draft season now when we're starting doing mock drafts. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think is going to happen as we progress through this.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week of combine performances, staying up late doing trackers and things like that. But yeah, some really intriguing drills, some really intriguing times, and some really intriguing measurements as well for some players who are probably going to be picked today. So yeah, interesting to see how this plays out.
Absolutely. Yes, we are going to do a mock. Stu's done his randomizer wheel thing. I'm going to pick first, then Owen, then Stu. So I guess without further ado, let's get rolling. So it's myself with the Bears, the pick they got from the Panthers. Thank you very much for them. And look, let's not complicate it. It's Caleb Williams. A, he's best player in the draft. B, I don't think they've made much of a play on the fact that they're looking to trade Justin Fields. And C, this is probably going to drag on long enough, so I'm going to stop there. Caleb Williams in with pick one for the Bears. Off we go. Which means, Owen, you are up next with the Washington Commanders. Or yeah, Commandos, so as they're now called.
Yeah. Caleb Williams feels like a lock at number one. Number two might be a little bit more up for debate. I think Caleb Williams is the top tier of quarterback for me. Drake May would be in the next tier. And then you would have Jayden Daniels, maybe JJ McCarthy below that. So I'll stay true to the board, and I would take Drake May if I was the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I think we've come full circle, haven't we, on it? Everyone had Drake May and Caleb Williams 1 and 2. There's a lot of chat happened about them not being 1 and 2, and it seems to be coming back around to them being 1 and 2 again, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. And I mean, he's not he's not a perfect prospect. He is a tier below Caleb Williams for me. He's got some deficiencies and a lot of stuff he'll need to work on in terms of accuracy and just consistency, but he's got the tools. So he's got the tools that deserve going one, either one or two. And I don't see how you could pass up on him if you were the Washington Commanders. And the dog's getting involved. The dog doesn't agree. Thinks that they should stick with Sam Howell, who Drake May followed at North Carolina.
I'm waiting for Brian and a dog Howell pun there. I could see he was itching to come out with
it. So, there we go then. Two quarterbacks. Who's up next? Stu, it's you with who've got third? Oh, the New England Patriots, of course.
If I was a New England Patriots general manager, I would be taking calls to get out of this spot. PGQ. I don't think, unless they have a major turnaround in free agency, I don't think the New England Patriots are ready to bring a quarterback in to that team. And I think that they could potentially ruin a quarterback. They're not great. We've seen what happened to Bryce Young behind a really bad team last year. I'm not saying Bryce Young is ruined, but he had a really poor rookie year. So I would be trying to get out of it if I can, but we're not going to do trades. So I am going to pick who I think is the best player in the draft, and I'm going to pick Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver from Ohio State. I think that they need to start loading up on explosive players. I think they need to start loading up on just good players, whatever they are picking. And for me, Marvin Harrison fits the bill there.
Nice. There we go.
Straying from the consensus there, Stu.
Yeah,
that's just Stu in it. It's just a
no. I'm not being a curmudgeon at all. I don't think that if I was in New England Patriots, I would pick at 3. I think whoever picks at 3 might pick a quarterback, but I'm not sure it'll be. I'm not sure about New England being that team.
You think you maybe just get one of those veterans like Jacoby Brissett or something for a year and just see how he is and just load up on good talent and take one in the future.
Yeah, because they would get a haul for that. Maybe not what they would get, but they would get a haul, and that might set them up nicely for a year or two down the line to then bring that quarterback into a much more friendly situation.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
There we go. Okay, me with the Cardinals at pick 4. I think they'd have liked Marvin Harrison Jr., wouldn't they? But it's not the way it's played, and I think at this point we're not doing trades. But at this point, I think they're getting a few calls. Like I say, the Patriots couldn't get traded. I don't know if they will, but they're getting a few calls because Jayden Daniels still there. And they're sticking with Kyler Murray apparently. So I think they go for the next best thing to Marvin Harrison Jr., which is Malik Neighbors from LSU. A nice wide receiver for them there for Kyler Murray to play along with.
It should be really interesting to see how this falls right, because maybe it is a bit of prospect fatigue setting in, but there seems to be a growing buzz that Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze are a lot closer to Marvin Harrison than we were initially led to believe. And reports coming out of the combine is that teams have these three ranked in completely different orders. So it'd be really, really interesting to see how this pans out. But I really like Malik Neighbors. I think he's a top 5 player in the draft for me. I think he's quality, so I think that he would be a really good quick threat in that Arizona offense. I like it.
Yeah, I think that they would be licking the lips if Marvin Harrison was there. But yeah, I don't think you're getting a huge drop off. You are getting a drop off, I think, to Malik Neighbors, but it's not so massive and egregious that you wouldn't pick him in that spot.
Back to you, Owen, with the LA Chargers, pick number 5.
So this really is a toss-up between tackle and receiver. We've spoken about it. We've done podcasts exclusively on the Chargers, and it seems to us, I think, that this needs to be an offensive pick, even though they're in desperate need of corner and probably going to be in desperate need of an edge player as well. If I was them, I would be going tackle, because if Malik Neighbors was on the board, then I would be tempted by Malik Neighbors because I think he's the type of receiver that they need. I'm not sure, as for however good Rome Odunze is, that he's a different type of receiver than what they already have. So I would be going for a tackle, and I think after what's happened at the combine this week, that Joe Alt is the top tackle in this draft. So I would be taking Joe Alt, almost 6'9", absolute specimen, around 320 odd pounds, and I think he's cemented that top pick, especially say after the combine where he looked so smooth in drills. He looked like one of the top guys, and then Olufashanu measured in with the smallest hands a tackle has ever measured in at the combine since 1999, since Mock Draftable started tracking this data, which hasn't done him any favors. So I think from that, and especially because of the size comparisons, it will be Joe Alt.
Yeah, I think Joe Alt has firmly established himself as tackle one. For me, I don't think there's really a debate to be had. We will talk about it in top 5s when we get there. But yeah, I love my offensive lineman and Joe Alt as the guy for me. And that would set them up with really nice, however you want to configure that, with Rashawn Slater as well as their other tackle. He has played around the line. Do you move him and put Alt to left? Who knows? You just get your best 5 guys on the field at that stage to maximise what you can with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, next is you, Stu, with the New York Football Giants.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Pull the trigger. Yeah, I am going to do it. For me, if he's sitting there, I think, and nobody's come up, I think Jayden Daniels would be my pick. If I was, I think it would be New York's pick. Sorry, I'm not sure it would be my pick, but it would be New York's pick. I think there's conversations to be had around this one. But for me, I think if they've got a quarterback on the board that people have seen as this top 10 player, they still have another year and they can get out of the Daniel Jones deal. So he does have the opportunity to sit. He'll probably not sit for that long, knowing how Daniel Jones is made out of poppadom. Right. What's the word? Prawn crackers. His bones are he's just a pretty fragile guy at the moment. I think he's going to be injured before long anyway. So Jayden Daniels might get his shot quicker and he's a totally different type of quarterback. He'd be that bit more explosive. Give the New York Football Giants something they've not had for a long time. When you look at their quarterbacks, they've not had a explosive, dynamic threat like him in quite some time, if ever.
Yeah, I would, even if he's gone, I wouldn't be shocked if they went for someone like JJ McCarthy here, who feels like he is going. We'll see if he does in this draft, but it would not shock me at all, because I think the front office there are going to be bit of twitchy bums about their jobs, because after that Daniel Jones deal, you just can't justify it, can you? So this buys them a bit of time. Look, they can go and say, "Oh, look, we've got a rookie," and so we do see it when GMs start getting a bit of talk about their jobs, that they go out and get he just needs to throw everything at it, and that might be getting a quarterback. So yeah, I would not be shouting, even if it wasn't Jayden Daniels, I would have picked a quarterback as well.
Up next is me with the Tennessee Titans. Sticking with Will Levis. Apparently, maybe they could be interested. Jayden Daniels, maybe, if he's still sticking about. Who knows? But for now, it's Will Levis and his mayonnaise. Do you remember that? That was weird, wasn't it?
I still haven't tried it yet.
Last year, yeah. I do, yeah. Anyway, and I think I'm going to play board, even though he's got small hands. I'm going to go for Shanu, the tackle. I think he's a quality player. It's a position of need. It's something that even if Will Levis doesn't work out long term, if you can get yourself a nice tackle, that's a nice move for them. So yeah, Tennessee Titans at number 6 from Penn State. It's for Shanu. Totally just wimped out trying his first name.
Olu will fight. Olu's fine.
Oh, that was easy. Olu for Shanu.
I think we should be changing it to the old pronunciation of the boy off Gladiators. It should be Fashanu.
Do you think there's maybe a debate to be had here, Stu, of Fashanu might not be the next guy off the board?
Yeah. It's something I think we're going to have a debate about when we get to that offensive tackles, but you can probably tell by my nodding. I did really like Fashanu, but I have my question marks, and I think that whether he's either going to be tackle 3 or 4 is potentially debatable for me at this stage.
Yeah,
but teams will like him. There will be someone who likes him, and you could conceivably go there.
Yeah, I still like him. I mean, I've not finalised my rankings. I think he's probably there at 2 for me currently, but there's tackles that have apparently at the combine just absolutely, teams have absolutely fell in love with them during interviews. Talise Fuaga being one of them, who's apparently every time a GM's asked who was your favourite interview, his name comes up multiple times. So I'm wondering if he maybe goes higher than we had originally thought. We've spoken about him a lot. Again, there's the biggest video we've ever had on a YouTube channel was us speaking about Talise Fuaga.
I wish I'd talked about him more earlier. I mean, I was looking back. I texted you guys on October the 2nd. It was. Have you watched Talise Fuaga? ? So I was on his hype train a long time ago.
So another claim to fame for you there, Stu. All right, you've got your Falcons. What are you going to do for pick 8?
Yeah, I think I would know what I would want to do, and I would want to be taking Rome Odunze here, because I think he is the best player left on the board, and he fills a need, because outside of Drake London, there isn't a pass catcher. And every time I've done a mock, I keep going back to, if there's a receiver there that just looks tasty. If you can sign a veteran, like say Kirk Cousins does come in. The first mock draft we did back in August, if you go back and watch that mock draft, I said Kirk Cousins will be the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons next year. He might not be, but even though if they went out and signed, whether it's Justin Fields, whether it's Russell Wilson, I think I would be leaning towards them going for a veteran presence of some type. And if that's the case, if you could get Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Rome Odunze all on the field at the same time, that's going to be must-watch TV. So I am going Rome Odunze to the Falcons.
Nice. Can't argue with that logic, and especially like you say, I think it's a nice. If you could bring in a veteran quarterback, which I think, what the Falcons done the last couple of years is bringing that first round talent at skill position, and if you can slot a veteran quarterback in there, it's. I mean, it never seems to work when it happens, but hopefully for the Falcons it would. All right, Stu, you're up number 9. The Bears' second pick.
Yeah. And sniped me a little bit there. I quite fancied Odunze for Caleb Williams. But I'm going to go to the other side of the ball this time. I think the Bears had an awful pass rush. I don't think they had anything other than till Sweat came in.
Yeah.
Once Sweat came in, it changed around. But I think he needs a buddy. So I'm going to pair him up with someone who tested phenomenally well at the combine. Huge long arms, bendy, fast edge rusher. The other guy to Will Anderson in that Alabama defense, I'm going to pick Dallas Turner, the edge from Alabama.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise. He's been phenomenal. He's going to be the first defensive player off the board. It's just a matter of how long does he wait, because the offensive talent's been. It's just so good. I mean, I couldn't remember the year, but it's been a long time since for the first 10 picks of a draft have been all on offense. I think it was like the 1930s or something the last time there was no defensive players in the top 10. So history tells you that one's probably going to go at least, and that, I mean, I would say it was going to be Dallas Turner, who led the SEC in sacks, as well as all that length and athleticism that he has, and it was unbelievable at the combine. So yeah, I can absolutely see that happening.
Nice. Rounding off the top 10, it's myself with the Jets. What can you do? I think maybe let's stay at Alabama. Let's go JC Latham, the offensive tackle.
Okay.
We saw what happened last year with not great offensive line. It sort of helps Aaron Rodgers and whoever follows on, even when he leaves. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a smart pick for them. I guess he'd have liked a nice first round receiver for once, but the top ones are gone. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with the Jets pick at 10.
He's a mountain of a boy, JC Latham. He's a big lad.
Tank.
I'm not the biggest fan of JC Latham. I think teams are, though. I think he is a high upside player. I still have question marks over JC Latham at the moment, but the Jets definitely need to do something in that offensive line. The tackles are out. They've just released what's the guard they signed from San Francisco? He played every game last year. Laken Tomlinson, he's gone as well. They've got Joe Tippmann, EVT, and nothing else. So I think the right pick is definitely offensive line here.
Yeah, I agree. Teams love this offensive tackle class probably as much as we do. There's a bunch of them who are going to go in the first round. It's just a matter of what order you want to put them in. I think Stu's with me. I think Talisi Fuaga is the kind of the one to slot straight in this, because he plays right tackle. But it would not shock me if JC Latham slots in. He plays right tackle as well, but just the way that the buzz has come around with Fuaga, once I think he's going in the top 15, which he still might. But yeah, JC Latham could go this high, because the rankings will be all over the place because they're all this good.
There's one of the big draft guys. I can't remember who it was. Was it Mel Kiper or Zerline? Can't remember. One of those guys had him as the first tackle at 5 to the Chargers. So there's people saying that he is going to go high. So
yeah, they're absolutely all over the board. He could be the first. He could be the 6th, because this tackle class is that good. It's just going to be a matter of what these teams want.
So back to you, all right. Pick 11, the Minnesota Vikings, potentially Kirk Cousins-less Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I suppose what this pick comes down to if Kirk Cousins is re-signed or not. Or is he re-signing or is he not?
I don't think he is.
No?
No.
Okay.
He does a great job of being like all nice and family guy, but he wants his money, doesn't he? He's no fool.
He's a savvy businessman, and if I don't know if Minnesota are going to give him the guaranteed cash that he wants, someone else will.
Yeah, right. And Kevin O'Connell was on NFL Network during the combine and said that he wanted Kirk Cousins back, but also knew that Kirk Cousins was going to test the market, and it was just going to be a matter whether Kirk Cousins selected their offer over anyone else's, which, considering they've got to pay Justin Jefferson, that pot may be smaller than some others. So yeah, so we'll go quarterback then, and I think it would have to be JJ McCarthy because he would be the next one on the board. Bo Nix is there, Michael Penix is there. No one blew anyone away in this quarterback group at the combine. It was a real struggle to watch, to be honest with you. If I was one of those receivers, I'd be really annoyed because some of them were sailing passes. There were 5-round out routes, and JJ McCarthy missed a wild one, but he's going, and teams love his traits. He's a born winner. So I think JJ McCarthy would go to the Vikings.
It seems to be a player that's linked a lot with the Vikings recently. There seems to have been a bit of buzz that the Vikings really like JJ McCarthy. I think he's going to be picked, possibly. But I wonder, we all thought the same about Will Levis this time last year.
True.
Will Levis dropped into the second round. I don't know if McCarthy isn't picked by Minnesota. I think that fall could happen. I can't see.
Do you think it's maybe slightly different though in terms of Levis was being mocked like number one overall early on in the season, whereas JJ McCarthy's been thought of as like a second or a third round pick, and all of a sudden it's teams really like this guy and he's going top 10. But I know what you mean, that it could all be smoke, couldn't it?
Yeah, you just don't know, do you? But yeah, it's a pick that is very, very likely potential to happen. So can't argue with it.
Which means we're back to you, Stu. Another team that might want a quarterback. The Denver Broncos at 12.
They might want one, but they ain't getting one. There's nobody now that I think that I would want to spend pick number 12 on at this stage, that's left on the board. So I'm thinking, I think it's going to be a defensive pick. But I'm torn between edge and corner here for the Broncos. But I think starting to get to that tricky. I think you can get a corner a bit later. I think the edge class is not quite as deep for me. So do you have some potential guys, on that? But there's no star on that Denver team, and it wouldn't stop me taking anybody. So I'm going to go for Jared Verse, the edge rusher from Florida State, in this pick. I think that he's had a really good pre-draft process. He looked very good at the combine, very smooth, moved very quickly for a guy his size. He's a power rusher. He's something they maybe don't have in Denver. So for me, I would take Jared Verse.
Yeah, no arguments there. Great player. More of a powerful player than a speedy player, but showed at the combine that he absolutely has that agility. So yeah, it would not surprise me at all. He's a very, very good player.
Okay, sticking in the AFC West, it's me with the Raiders at pick.
Don't upset your brother. Don't upset your brother here.
You can't win, can you?
No, they can't win either.
There you go. I think pretty much every mock you see sees them taking a corner, and I agree with that. I think that's a need for them. I'm going to put it out to you two guys, and we'll get there in our top fives. But who would you have as your top corner and the first corner off the board here?
I still don't know. I'm still undecided. I still probably need to go back and watch things again. At the moment, I'm probably edging towards Quinyon Mitchell, but I still do like Terry and Arnold as well. For me, probably Mitchell has the edge. If there was a gun to my head, I think he's bigger, stronger, a bit more physical than Arnold. But that's just my personal preference for that team.
Yeah, my most recent mock, I had the first corner go off the board as Quinyon Mitchell to the Jaguars at 17. I think he could go top 10 if someone wanted to take him there. We wouldn't get many arguments. He's a great player. So yeah, I would agree with Quinyon Mitchell.
Good stuff. Well, I'm not going to put a gun to your head, but I am going to pick Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo for the Raiders at 14, which means we're at the Saints. It's pick 14, and it's you, Owen.
This could be anything. they could just take best player on the board, which is probably Brock Bowers, but I'm not sure that's something that they would do. I do think, however, that they would take a tackle, and it's a mix between two, really, because Talise Fawaga's there, and I don't see how a team. I don't want him falling much further because I think he's going to go. But I think that Amarius Mims is just a Saints type of player. He's the type of player that they go, look at those athletic traits, look at his size. He's 340 pounds, and he's just pure muscle. You see there's photos of him at the combine standing next to there's not an ounce of fat in his body. It's all pure muscle. This absolute specimen. He's only played 8 games or started 8 games at the college level. But those 8 games are really good, but we'll see if that's enough to put people off. So I am really tempted by Amarius Mims, so I'm just going to do it. I'm going Amarius Mims.
Yeah, Mims is going to impress a lot of people just by walking past him. I don't think he needs to do anything else other than just whap his shirt off, walk past some GMs, and they're going to be, that's the guy for me. He's an absolute, but he's actually technically a very good tackle as well. Yeah. He's not just all brawn and no brains. I think that in the Saints, they really need the Ramchick. How much longer has he got left? My friend Trevor, his mum's not going to be happy, but Trevor Pennings, he really hasn't worked out, has he, for the Saints? So they're the kind of team that is going to pick a trench player.
I'm glad you said that about Mims, because he's only started 8 games, but there's kind of this narrative that he's a developmental player that you're just going to have to go there, sit. But those 8 games are so good that I wouldn't surprise me if he did start straight away. He's not a developmental type player. He just hasn't played a lot.
Yeah. Pick number 15, Stu. That's you with the Colts.
You just mentioned him a minute ago. Brock Bowers, for me. I think Brock Bowers, it would be a great option for Anthony Richardson coming back from injury, another target to throw to. Looks like they're probably going to do something and keep hold of Michael Pittman. I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. They like the tight ends as well that they already have, so they have the option of playing Brock Bowers maybe in the slot, which I quite like as well when he has the chance, because he's a really good slot player. He'd be that big slot. It's going to be a mismatch nightmare. So yeah, Brock Bowers, one of the better players in the draft. I think positional value has seen him fall to 15 more than talent, so he's not going to fall any further. Let's snap up Brock Bowers.
He's an extremely difficult player to mock, because it's impossible to find that spot where you're like, yeah, they can't pass on him, because even here it seems a logical pick, but if
cornerback was my other thought.
Yeah, or even another speedy receiver, like a player like Brian Thomas Jr. or AD Mitchell, or someone like that would not shock me, because the Chris Ballard, the GM of the Colts, has these kind of intangibles and measurements that he has to stick to that I don't think Brock Bowers would actually meet. But he's such a good player that it is difficult to pass up on him here. But it would not shock me if he goes to one of those height, weight, speed receivers, which there are plenty of.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, depending on where Brock Bowers is probably a top 10 in terms of talent, but yeah, tight end position, it's going to push you down a little bit, I guess. We shall see. That leaves myself with the Seattle Seahawks picking out number 16. There's a lot of places you could go here. I'm going to go with, I think, probably the best player left on the board. Latu Latu from UCLA, edge. Yeah, like I say, he's a good player. I think they could go a couple of different directions, maybe offensive line, but talking guard center, you can probably get one of them round 2. So yeah, why not get an edge? You can't really have enough of them, can you? So yeah, Latu to the Seahawks at 16.
Yeah, I could see that being a sensible pick for Seattle. He was a player who looked really smooth, I think, at the combine, the way he moved. He was probably a little bit quicker than maybe people thought he was as well.
Absolutely.
So he was somebody for me who just had to be good enough at the combine because his technique is excellent. It all depends on that medicals. I've not really heard anything much about the medicals from Latu, so that's maybe
he's
a
just not going to
positive.
be on some people's boards, right? They're
Yeah,
just going to
yeah.
straight up. They wouldn't even bother with the medicals. They're just not
No,
going to take the
but
risk.
I agree. I think the fact that we've not heard much about that medicals yet, I know it's still early days, but that's maybe a good sign for him. I think they've got some promising edge players in Seattle, but they've nobody who cemented themselves as that number one. So if you don't have that, just keep stocking up.
Good stuff. All right, number 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, another difficult one. I'm just having a play about and seeing who's available here because they could take a corner if Calvin Ridley doesn't re-sign. Their receivers in play as well. The offensive line needs interior players. They drafted Anton Harrison, didn't they, last year, which may put them off the tackle market. But again, it's tempting with Talisi Fuaga here, right? You just keep going, but who's their other tackle outside Anton Harrison?
It's not Walker Little has been playing at tackle.
Right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're
I'll
right.
do
I
a
was
bit
thinking that
I'll float around
it
a
was
bit.
Robinson, wasn't it, who got suspended during? He missed some time
Cam
during the
Robinson was
season. Cam
suspended. I'm
Robinson.
sure it was Walker Little who was playing at the.
Yeah. Well, that's not stopping me. We're going to go to Talisi Fuaga, and just find a spot for him. Say they need a centre. He's not going to play centre. It's just there's so many ways that the Jags could go. Defensive tackle. That they've surprisingly got a lot of needs in Jacksonville, which they've been fairly decent the last couple of seasons and should have probably made the playoffs this time around. So yeah, we'll go to Talisi Fuaga because you just draft good players. It's not that difficult.
Can't argue with that. Draft good player. Stu, what good player are you going to draft at 18 for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, so I think the Cincinnati Bengals would be crying into their drinks there because they thought, yes, we've got Fuaga here. This is going to be his doddle. We're just going to walk up with a card and pick him because that's a big need for the Bengals. They would have loved to have him on that right side, particularly with Jonah Williams probably disappearing off. So they need to have a bit of a rethink. If that happened, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded down a spot or two to give themselves a bit of breathing room. Something we've seen teams do that. But I would stick and I would pick someone from the interior of the defensive line. I think that's a need for them as well. They've had a couple of guys who are on expiring contracts. So for me, the guy who I think is the top of that group at the moment is Byron Murphy, the second from Texas. I think he moves really well. He's a really strong, dense, thick player who's really powerful. He's got a quick first step. So for me, I'm going to pick Byron Murphy.
It certainly feels like he's going in the first. It's just finding him a spot. Seems to have overtaken Jazon Newton or Johnny Newton, whichever one he's going to go by over this draft. It seems to be more of a trend towards Johnny at the moment. I still would have Newton as the top guy, but I think given the injury that he's had, which means he hasn't really participated in the pre-draft process as yet, that certainly feels like he'd fall down the board. So I can't argue with that. And it's a need for them. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, at 19, it's myself with the LA Rams. What do they do picking the first round? Why have they not traded it away yet? What are they playing at?
There's still time.
There is still time. There is. But let's say they pick in the first round for the first time since 2016. Can you believe it? I think they're going to know Terrion Arnold, the corner from Alabama. It's a big gaping need for them. I think he's one of the best players left. I don't think it's a tough choice. So that's the Rams there. Terry Arnold from Alabama.
I think it's a bit of a fall, isn't it? We maybe expected him to go a little bit higher, but who knows? Yeah, I think they've got a lot of young players on that roster, and they just want to get better. They just want to get better players in all those positions. And yeah, I think Arnold's a first-round corner, so Rams make sense for him.
Yeah, right. We'll keep going. Who's going to fall? Who's going to fall? But there's so many good players that someone's going to have to be there, right? That all these good players that we've just drafted. One of those players will be there at 19 for the Rams. Yeah, I think they need kind of that shutdown corner on the outside, and Terry Arnold absolutely will be that one of the twitchiest athletes at the position we've seen come out in some time.
We're heading to Pittsburgh at pick number 20. Owen, who are you after?
This to me is fairly straightforward. So they do need a corner, but I'm pretty happy waiting until later on for one. The only one that would interest me would be Cooper DeJean, who is potentially on the mock draft simulator we're using here is the Pro Football Network have him listed as a safety. He could be a corner or a safety. But there's a player screaming out to me who I think the Steelers would love, and that is Troy Fontenot from Washington, who can just play anywhere on the offensive line. He's been seen throughout the process as being a guard, but had 34-inch arms at the combine when he measured in. That's tackle length. The tackle tape is excellent. The Steelers here could just do what they need to, and outside of Broderick Jones, they need another tackle there. I have no problem with slotting Broderick Jones on the right side, Troy Fontenot on the left side, and then just get a center at some point because they don't cost as much. Whether you get that later in the draft because there's a bunch of centers, or you could you could get one in free agency probably, and then you start him there and kick him into guard if needed. So yeah, we'll go in Troy Fontenot from Washington.
Oh, Owen's broke my heart there. I every mock I've done today in preparation, I have picked him for my Miami Dolphins, and if he was on the board at 21, I'd be leaving a draft house and flying to Miami and running the pick in myself and handing it to Roger Goodell. Do we think this is the
range for him then? Because you look at Miami, and then I look at the Eagles afterwards.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember who their coach was, but you're watching the combine, and the coach that was doing the drills was the legendary Eagles coach that I cannot remember the name of, the offensive line coach. And he Fontenot had a drill, and the coach just stared at him. It must have been for a good 5 seconds, just like, yeah, man, you're good. And if the Eagles will if you're good enough in the trenches, the Eagles will draft you. I don't think he would get past the Eagles at 22 actually.
Yeah. So you've crushed my next pick because that's who I was going to pick. So it's okay. We're going to pivot. Offensive line is a big need for Miami. They've got a lot of free agents, particularly in the interior of that offensive line. But I'm not sure I'm going to pick on that interior of that offensive line because I think we could maybe double back round for that. Jackson Powers-Johnson is a temptation, but I'm going to skip it and I'm going to go to the other side of the ball because I think they are going to lose Christian Wilkins by the looks of things. It looks like he's going to be in free agent. So you just talked about him fairly recently, Johnny Newton. I think I'm going to pick Johnny Newton for the interior of that defensive line. Really good player. He's got all the tools. He's got. He's not the biggest. He's a different type of player from Christian Wilkins, but I think slotting him in there. He's got enough power. He's got enough speed, flexibility. Great on one-on-ones. So Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois, and think about offensive line in round 2.
That's a unique selection because that's not something that you see all too often. No one accuses of copying in this mock draft.
Not something I plan to do either.
There's plenty of good players there, and you're right. You're going to get one in the second, right? I wouldn't have thought Graham Barton would be there, but someone like Graham Barton, or there's plenty. There are good guards and centers. You're going to even get them on day 3. as the offensive line in general is a really good class. So yeah, I would even be tempted if it wasn't in the interior, going on the edge, considering the injuries that are there. You just need someone who can play.
There we go. So I like how this is where I'm the Falcons fan. You've picked for the Falcons. Stu, the big Dolphins fan. You've just picked for the Dolphins. Yeah, me, the Cowboys fan, has somehow ended up with the Eagles. Who your favourite? Not Travis. What's the other one? Jason Kelsey has retired today, which I think brings Jackson Powers-Johnson seriously into play. Otherwise, I'm thinking corner because the sort of secondary's getting a little bit old.
The Eagles just don't do it though, right?
Like
you do a mock draft, right, and then you don't put a corner to the Eagles, and then the Eagles fans are straight away going, how could the Eagles pass on a corner? They could definitely take the corner. The Eagles don't do it. They just don't do it. They always draft a trench player.
It's got to
in
be
the
a
first
lineman.
round.
Yeah. In which case, it upsets me as I maybe like the Cowboys drafting, but Jackson Powers-Johnson, I think you slot in at centre and they can just crack on.
Before you make a decision on that, locking it indefinitely, do we think Cam Jurgens is going to be the centre? Because I remember in a couple of years ago during the drafts, Kelsey had a say on drafting him, didn't he? That he was in the room and said that this is the guy who'll replace me once I've retired. He played a reasonable amount of guards, didn't he? So I suppose
Solomalu left to go to Pittsburgh, he slotted into his slot quite a bit.
Yeah, so there's a chance he sticks a guard, right? They might just like him there. And there was a lineman last year who from Alabama that they drafted who was kind of slotted in or around. He was a tackle, believe, and then slotted in at guard. I'm not sure how much he played.
That's going to annoy me who that is now. Yeah, I know exactly. I'm going to have to. Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up because it's going to annoy me.
But Jackson Powers-Johnson would be the type of offensive lineman that the Eagles would like at the same time, because he's just getting out into space. You can imagine him, pulling like Jason Kelsey has done for so long. And would it be something that they do in the first round centre?
True.
It's difficult this
one.
one.
And can he do the tush push?
Yes.
That's
Tyler Steen.
That's a big.
Tyler Steen, yeah. That's well done, Stu. I know you've googled that, but we filled that nicely. That was teamwork.
Yeah, that was it. I knew it was someone like Tyler, but I could not remember the surname. So I had to go for it.
I don't know. Does he slot in at guard? It's a tough one. That offensive line is going to need rejigging, right? And then you put it into that Lane Johnson is going to retire at some point. Not this season coming, but I mean, it could be the next season, right? That's going to be some turnover on that offensive line.
Are you going with it? Are you sticking with it, Brian?
I just didn't know whether you'd forgotten. That's why I want to throw that in there. That they did.
No, he's good. But I honed in on there has to be a lineman, typically.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Kelsey news today. Yeah, screw it. I'm sticking with it. Because I still think it's a smart
pick. Stick to your guns, good man.
Yeah.
They say that's fine because Jurgens can continue playing guard, which he did pretty well last season. So not an issue.
Lovely stuff. Up next, pick 23. It's the Texans and it's you, Owen.
Again, a lot of different ways you can go here. I'm interested in the edge rushers because I think Grenard's going to be a free agent. I don't think he's going to be re-signed for however good he was this season. It feels like he's going to be able to get a bit more money elsewhere. And I would like someone else opposite Will Anderson. I would like someone opposite Derek Stingley at corner as well. I would also really like to give them a receiver, right? It's difficult if you Yeah, they've got a bunch of them in this draft as well. I don't like the edges that are left for them. In terms of corner, Nate Wiggins' weight really irked me. He's super skinny, lost weight as well, which doesn't make any sense to me. Lost weight to run at the combine, then got injured running at the combine, and we don't know what that injury is going to be like. He's got a hip flexor injury. Maybe Stu, you can elaborate whether that's is that long term or.
So it doesn't sound like it from what I can gather.
Okay.
If it's a hip flexor, yeah, it might just be one of these soft tissue things. He's just got to rest.
Okay.
And might be ready for kind of OTAs type things, and it might affect his pro day. I don't know. Again, it depends. Is it a strain? Is it a tear? It really depends on how badly he's injured. That when, I think it's just one of these things that's probably just going to be time.
Yeah. I'm going to give him a receiver because while they were good at receiver, actually CJ Stroud did a lot of the heavy lifting, because what we'd seen from Nico Collins today, he just had a kind of a breakout year last year, didn't he? And Tank Dell went down injured. So I'm going to give him Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, who is over 200 pounds. He's 6'4", 202 at the combine, something along those lines, and then ran a 4.34 40, which was mightily impressive considering Xavier Worthy broke the record. I would say probably that Brian Thomas Jr. running a 4.34 at 40 pounds heavier than him is more impressive. So I would go Brian Thomas Jr., who is an absolute field stretcher in that LSU offense, and I could see that translating really well in Houston.
Yeah, Thomas, a player like okay. I think he's a lot of speed and a lot of vertical threat. I think he's got a lot to work on with route running. But if you've got Tank Dell as your route runner and Nico Collins as your catch point guy, you can fit into that offense as long as he doesn't drop the ball as much as he does. He looked good in the drills, but he had a lot of drops on tape, which did concern me a little bit. But I do like Brian Thomas, and I can see why you just want to load up and give CJ Stroud as much as you can, don't you? When you saw what he could do, just give him more.
Could be quite scary, that actually, couldn't it?
Yeah, I really like Brian Thomas Jr. He's going to be up there for me. I think he's a very good player. I would be surprised if he's here. I think he probably goes in the teens because that athleticism does get drafted early, especially at the weight as well, right? Because we talk about Xavier Worthy and how athletic he is, but 165 pounds isn't going to cut it in the first round, I don't believe. Whereas at 200 and odd pounds and 6'4", he's got the physical profile as well.
Does the right. Let's stay in Texas. Let's go to Dallas. Pick 24. Stu, don't let me down.
I'll try not to.
Oh, good.
For me, this pick has been one that I've picked quite a bit as well. I'm going to go with Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma. He's supremely athletic, right height, right weight. He's really nasty run blocker. He's got a lot of technique to learn. He reminds me in some ways of an offensive lineman that they drafted not too long ago in Tyler Smith. And he's actually been a really good signing for Dallas. He's done really well. I think he's playing at left guard mainly at the moment. I think they've got Tyron Smith's not going to be there forever. Terrence Steele.
He's come out today. Apparently, he's moving on.
Is he? Okay, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Terrence Steele at right tackle, was he amazing? Not really. He was okay. They're going to probably have to get a new center as well. So let's start rebuilding that offensive line for Dallas. And for me, Tyler Guyton is the guy who's got the traits that they like.
Hard to argue with any of that. Need, and this is exactly the type of player that they draft, as you said.
Yeah, I'll let you off, Stu. Good man. Back to me. Pick 25, the Green Bay Packers. Oh, I'm a little bit lost. I think they maybe like Guyton. What's his face? Bakhtiari's not going to last forever. Don't even last half a season sometimes. So I don't know, guys. I'll open the floor. Any ideas here?
I mean, they're desperate for secondary help, but they're another team like we were speaking about with the Eagles, who just they just draft big trench players, big athletic trench players. They're just their thing in the first round. But their secondary needs completely rebuilding. They need 2 new corners and 2 new safeties because they were horrendous in the secondary last season, which kind of got put under the carpet because of how good Jordan Love was scoring points.
He had to.
But yeah, exactly. He had to. And then you look at the corners who are available, and there's no one really that jumps out as being that height, weight, speed person that they would want. Maybe it would be Cooper DeJean, who really seems to be a really fancy pick here because of his versatility, but he can't play corner and safety at the same time. You'd have to just he can play both, but not at the same time, unfortunately. But he is very good. So I would have thought if it was going to be one of them, it would be Cooper DeJean. But yeah, like you said, they need offensive linemen too. But they probably did all right getting by last season, considering Bakhtiari wasn't around for only for 1 game. That helped, didn't it?
Yeah, it can. I was thinking about that anyway. So
it's just who you go for at tackle. I'm not sure in terms of tackles, out and out tackles, that
I think all the good ones, not all the good, all the best ones are gone.
Yeah,
is my thought. There's guys who, I'm not sure I would pick them in round 1 left.
Yeah,
exactly. At tackle spots.
There is that. I like maybe thinking Jordan Morgan, but he's like you say, he's here round 1. Do you just take him because you like him, or do you try and get him later?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're forcing it a little bit with Jordan Morgan. I would say interesting one to throw out at you. Do they need edge? I don't know, but if they want a defensive lineman, Darius Robinson is the type of player that they would go for in terms of hitting all the measurables and being super athletic. Whether that's a need for them in the first round is debatable, but he would be the type of edge that they would probably go for.
Yeah, they've got Rashawn Gary on one side, haven't they? And they've drafted Lucas Van Ness fairly recently.
Yeah. In that slightly in the middle as well, though.
Yeah, the interior they've different. They've got Devontae Wyatt. They've drafted fairly recently on that line as well. Yeah, he's the kind of player they like.
They're difficult here just because of historical tendencies being in the trenches, but really the need being in the secondary.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He's a great player. He would be a great pick.
He is like absolutely a lightning closer as well. He is. I would like him probably as a safety because he can hit well as well. But you could stick him as outside corner, and you would be hopefully fairly happy with that.
That injury has really plummeted his draft stock, but he's a first-round player all day long. He's so good.
Yeah, I'm not really that caring how well he athletically tested, to be honest, because he looked quite cut up on tape for me.
Yeah, well, he didn't. You know what these colleges are like. They don't have to declare what the injury is, and he spoke at the combine saying that that I think he had a fracture in his shin. I think, but it was just the Iowa just said it was a lower leg injury, and
they're quite
never
big.
spoke about it again. And then 4 months later, we find out it was actually he actually had a bit of a break in it, which.
I'm actually less concerned about breaks. If they're a clean break, they tend to heal well. It's that lingering tendon issue, unless it's like one of those nasty foot fractures. If it's like
I'm sure they tend to
heal okay. Yeah.
Okay, pick 26. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's you, Owen.
Yes, we're getting to the tough bit of the draft where we just have to talk everything out, isn't it? Center is a need, and I think there is centers who could go here. I'm not going to do it, but like Zach Frazier, I think if it wasn't for the injury, could be a first-round player. And even he tested at the combine. He didn't run the 40, but he did the drills, which was shocking considering he broke his leg on the last game of the season. Is already back running. It's just unbelievable. They need edge, but as I've said before with previous picks, I'm not a massive fan of the edge rushers that are left. It would probably be Chop Robinson, but I'm just not sure. Corners, they need one, but there's lots of them. Struggling here. Safety as well, but I'm not liking any of the safeties. I think I'll go corner, and I'm going to take Nate Wiggins just because I think he's a good enough player to be in the first round. His tape's really good, shows high effort as well. That weight does worry me. It'd be interesting to see if he weighs in at the combine and whether at his pro day, and see if that's any different to what he weighed in at the combine, which was 170, low 170s, I believe.
I thought it was 169, I think.
Oh, was it right? Okay, well, even lower than that.
I could be wrong.
You could be right. I knew it was around.
I thought it was like looking at it and going, "Wow, that is skinny."
Yeah, I got too many tabs open here to combine and type in at the same time. I would go Nate Wiggins because his tape is good enough to be up there with the top corners. Just that physical profile worries me slightly, but they need a corner, and I think Nate Wiggins would be a good fit there.
Nice. 27, Stu. It's the Cardinals again. Who are you going to pick?
Well, and gave them Marvin Harrison early on. No, we didn't. We gave them Malik Neighbors early on.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone one outside on the offense. I think we'll go outside on the defense. Not going to be too complicated. I still think that he's got plenty of talent, although his stock has dropped. But I'm going to pick Kool-Aid. I think that the corner is a big need for them, and it has been for a long time in Arizona. I think they do have offensive line needs, but I think they can address that later on as well. There's plenty of interior guys that could help. Gone for a wide receiver early, go for a cornerback later. So I'm going to pick Kool-Aid at this spot. I think that he still has enough talent. I think there's maybe some guys who've gone past him, but I think that he's a rock solid player. He really is an intelligent player, I think, rather than an explosive player. He's plenty quick enough and he's strong enough. But for me, I think that Kool-Aid McKinstry is someone who understands how to play the cornerback position pretty well. And coming from Alabama, they're often pro ready, aren't they? So yeah, Kool-Aid for me.
Good stuff. Nice and easy. Yep. It's me, 28, with the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to pick a receiver for them to sit with Stephon Diggs or not if he goes somewhere. But Keon Coleman from Florida State, maybe the best player on the board left. He fits the need. And it's another weapon for Josh Allen to play with and, try and get them past that Chief size hump in the playoffs next year. But we'll see. So that's the Bills at 28.
Yeah, receiver feels like the right play. Keon Coleman at the combine needed to prove some athletic ability, then ran the worst 40-yard dash of all receivers at 4.62, and then ran the fastest gauntlet of any player at the combine. So it just shows you that play speed was there, but maybe the functional athleticism isn't. So it depends how you judge on that. But he's a very, very good player, and he opens up, because of his blocking ability and physicality, to get other receivers in the game as well. So I think he'd be a good pick there.
Which means we are at the sort of tail enders now, aren't we? The 29, the Lions. Very good year last year. That's why they pick it 29. And Stu, who do you fancy for them?
No, it's me.
It's not me. It's
no. Sorry.
I was panicking me there because I was thinking I've not been practicing. I've not been thinking about who I'm going to pick.
I just forgot that I just picked a minute ago. Yeah, it's good.
We're back to repeating ourselves here, really, of corners, edges. But do you like any of them that are available? Chop Robinson would be the edge, as I said, but is he a Lions type player? I don't know.
Does he have kneecaps?
But what I do like the thought of is AD Mitchell alongside that receiving core, Sam Laporta, and everyone else that they've got at receiver. I'm going to take AD Mitchell from Texas, who had a blazing 40, one of the best route runners in the class as well. Yeah, I think he's a first-round player, and I think he actually goes earlier than this.
Yeah, me too. There's times when I've looked at where we've been picking, and this is no criticism on anyone picks top.
Yeah.
I might have taken AD Mitchell there.
Yeah,
I really like him. And then if you hadn't picked him, I'd have definitely picked him in my next pick. So, again, you've busted me a little bit on that one. So
what are you talking about?
I have to.
Another athletic defensive lineman who doesn't have any production.
Do I have to? I'm not. I don't want to do it.
No. But if there's going to be a team that does it, it's them, right? There's just.
It is. It is. It would be, but I don't want to pick Chop Robinson.
You don't have
to. No, I'm just thinking who we're going to pick now that I'm not picking Chop. Ravens. Okay. Yeah. Let's give me Graham Barton.
Okay.
An interior offensive lineman, you could play at guard. I think that they could use some guards. I think that he's just a really solid player. You know what you're going to get with him. You can move him around if there's injuries. You know he's going to be comfortable playing in numerous spots in that offensive line. I did think about receiver, but again, there's so many receivers that you could wait until round 2 to pick someone because they do have a need there. They've got Rochelle Bateman, who hasn't really been, and who did they pick last year? Zay Flowers. I was going to say Addison, but no, he was another team in purple. It was Zay Flowers they picked. So again, they could use help there, but yeah, I'm going to stick with who I like, and I've liked Graham Barton for a long time. So let's pick him and think about receiver in round 2.
Yeah, plug and play. I'd say there's plenty of receivers. There's plenty of guards as well, but not with Graham Barton's versatility.
Which means we're at pick 31 with the San Francisco 49ers, who, let's have a think. I think it depends as
quarterback.
Imagine the scene. No, it's a 6th round too. Another quarterback that they take to the Super Bowl and lose with. I guess if Chase Young resigns, I don't know if that'll happen. If not, Edge is a bit of a need.
Mm-hmm.
Or I also think tackle.
No, apparently not.
No. There's not any. Is there any? Let's look quick. Any dog based? No, I don't think so. I think I'm going to go tackle, and I'm going to go the guy I mentioned before, Jordan Morgan from Arizona. Maybe not true first round talent, but well, you guys know more than me, but I've heard good things about him, and I think that's a need. And like I say, I don't know if they're too high on the likes of Chop Robinson on edge, or I don't know. So yeah, Jordan Morgan from Arizona for the 49ers.
I think they're a candidate to trade back. I think the 49ers might do that if they're in this spot. Some team might want to come up and get a 5th-year option on somebody. Don't know if there's anybody that you're definitely going to want a 5th-year option on that's on the board, but you never know. I wonder if they might trade back just a few spots to come out of that one. I don't know. Because
it could be before you took Marvin Harrison to the Patriots, something that you could see them doing, coming up and getting Bo Nix or Michael Penix or something to fill the gap in. That would make a lot of sense.
Right,
but there's just if they do take a tackle, then Jordan Morgan is the one that fit is just perfect because he excels in the run game. So
yeah, he's a smaller guy, and
it's the marriage is there. You come back to it every time when doing mock drafts, and it just works. Yeah, I think there's a real chance of Jordan Morgan sneaking to the 1st round, and if it does, it'd be him. But it could also be with the Chiefs next, right? Because they might have tackle issues.
Well, yeah, all right. Finishes off the Chiefs. Pick 32.
Gonna take a guess.
He's saying that with a smile.
Yeah, come on.
I don't know what you're thinking here.
Give me Lad McConkey.
Do you know, I was going to say, if you didn't pick Lad, I was going to say, can we make it so we all get the same amount of picks? and I can be the Panthers because that'll be the next pick.
Yeah.
So I can get Lad McConkey on our show. And
He's
that's without a word of lie. That's what I was going to request if you didn't say that.
I think, I mean, it could, Xavier Worthy, by all means, could be that type of player who would be at 32. But that's the type of pick where it gets to 5 a.m. in the morning on draft night, and then the Chiefs select Lad McConkey, and you go, oh no, how did the NFL let this happen again? Yeah,
he was
Lad
just
McConkey.
That is going to be the worst pick if that happens on draft night. We're going to have to drink all the beer that's left in the house to forget that pick. That's just a nightmare scenario, isn't it? They're just going to have Mahomes chucking it to Lad McConkey 8 million times a season and winning again.
Yeah.
There we go. First round mock done. Should we run through them all? You know, I'm not great with lists.
Yeah, if you've got them.
I've got them. Let's go. First up, no shock really. The Bears take Caleb Williams, quarterback. Another quarterback at pick 2. It's Drake May by the Commanders. Slight change to the consensus. Patriots don't go quarterback, go Marvin Harrison Jr., the receiver. Another receiver at 4. Malik Neighbors going to the Cardinals. Joel, the first tackle off the board, is at 5 to the Chargers. A quarterback at pick 6, the Giants. It's Jayden Daniels. Then we've got Ole Fashanu, the tackle, at 7 to the Titans. At 8, Romo Dunze, a receiver for the skill position loaded Falcons. The Bears with their next pick, it's Dallas Turner, the edge from Alabama. At 10, JC Latham, the tackle, again from Alabama, goes to the Jets. 11, a quarterback for the Vikings, JJ McCarthy. At 12, the second edge off the board, it's Jared Verse to the Broncos. 13, the Raiders select Quinyon Mitchell, the corner. 14, Amarius Mims, the tackle at the Saints. 15, Brock Bowers, the tight end, goes to the Colts. At 16, it's the Seahawks with Latu. The edge. 17, the Jags pick Salisi Fuanga, the tackle. 18, Barry Murphy, the defensive tackle, goes to the Bengals. At 19, the Rams select Terrion Arnold, the corner. 20, the Steelers pick Troy Fratanu, the tackle. 21, Johnny Newson, the defensive tackle, goes to the Dolphins. 22, Jackson Powers Johnson, the center, is going to the Eagles. At 23, Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver, goes to the Texans. 24, the Cowboys select Tyler Guyton, the tackle. 25, Cooper DeJean, I will learn that. The Green Bay Packers, the safety / corner. 26, Nate Wiggins, another corner, goes to the Buccaneers. 27, Kool-Aid McKinstry, great name, corner, goes to the Cardinals. 28, Keon Coleman, wide receiver, goes to the Bills. 29, A.D. Mitchell, receiver, goes to the Lions. And 30, it's Graham Barton, the guard. He's going to the Baltimore Ravens. 31, we've got Jordan Morgan, the tackle, to the San Francisco 49ers. And at 32, the lad, McConkey, is going to the Kansas City Chiefs, the receiver. I think I did that right.
Done. I could see the regret on your face there. You only threw 6 picks.
Going for a big lie down.
No, why did I say I was going to do this list?
I was doing a really weird one. I was going like number, position, name, and just like, yeah. But I think I started it out.
You got there. That was a good effort. Good
stuff. And there we go. That's our mock. It won't be our last. It's not our first, but it's good. As we learn more, things will change. But yes, that was fun. Thanks, guys. We're learning a lot. Of course, we'll learn a lot more when we kick off our top 5 series very, very soon. But before we go, we mentioned the combine. We've mentioned a lot of the players that shone or didn't shine over this weekend over in Indianapolis. But yeah, anyone else who we've not drafted today, but who had a good weekend?
We probably have to talk about Xavier Worthy, right? Breaking the record, the name on everyone's lips. Interested to see. He's a good player, but he's more than just speed, and that speed shows up on tape. He didn't need to run that for us to know that he was quick. His problem was drops last year. He cleaned a little bit of that up this year, which was good to see. I think he's a top of the second round type player, and if a team needs some twitchy elusiveness at the receiver position, then look no further than Xavier Worthy, really, because it's not just straight line speed. Get the ball in his hands, and he absolutely flies.
Yeah, a group that we didn't talk about at all, nothing to do with the first round as well. The running back group, Isaac Guerrero,
Oh yeah,
if I pronounce it, the running back from Louisville. He was the fastest running back, 4.33, but he also was really athletic on the field drills as well. Relative athletic score of 9.99, second best apparently ever for a running back. So in a class that's wide open, we haven't even talked about running backs at all. And you see the guys who have blazed the 40 recently, have done well in the NFL. Devon A-Chain, that type of player.
Yeah.
Guerrero, he's done himself absolutely no harm whatsoever in that combine.
He's a player that really, again, it's one of these players you can't judge everything by the combine, but I think for him you can definitely put some stock in it, because he might be a player that wasn't really on NFL radars, who all of a sudden they go, I need to go and watch his tape, which is what they're there to do. And I have to say, I need to watch more of it as well, because I had the luxury of doing a 7-round mock draft last week that I had to put in. It had to be submitted on the Tuesday before the combine. I had him going in the 7th round, and then he does that, and you think, oh,
scrap it.
Maybe you need to bump him up at least 3 rounds.
Yeah. Talking to the big guys, Braden Fisk, sorry, not Frisk. One of the smaller defensive tackles, but he had to be athletic if he's going to play at that size, and he was. His 10-yard split was electric. Again, he's somebody, he looked like he had plenty of power as well in some of those bag drills and whatnot as well. So again, we're talking about guys, okay, we've seen all that at the combine. Let's go back and re-review, which is part of the process, is looking at people again and seeing, have I missed something? You know, they're really athletic. Have I not quite got them in the right spot? And yeah, he was pretty impressive to watch as well.
Yeah, I guess just to round it out, the combine there, and the point of the combine, the why it was created in the first place was to get medicals on players. That was Michael Penix was the guy that we were all kind of waiting to see what his medicals are like, and NFL teams wanted to. The reports coming out are that he's been given a clean bill of health, and his medicals and his prior injuries aren't necessarily a worry. We'll see if that happens for all teams, but it's good for him that it certainly, as reports come out, that it seems like teams are happy that he's going to not the injuries won't hamper him at the next level, which is good for him.
Good stuff. Well, there we go. Thank you very much, guys. Another fantastic episode of the Draft Talk podcast. Thank you all very much for listening or watching. We'll be back very, very soon, because believe it or not, the draft is creeping up on us. So yeah, we'll be back with our usual plethora of top 5s, interviews, news, etc. So keep an eye out for that. And all in the meantime, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you soon.